Mirage would kick off our second series of the day here at DreamHack Open Fall, and OG would be able to repeat history as they sealed it in an even cleaner 16-5. A dominant performance there from OG. But Potter, I think it's fair to say that we may have expected a little bit more from Fnatic coming into this first map.
Yeah, definitely so. Definitely so. You know, you could tell that Fnatic were trying to loosen up a bit to get themselves into this match. You know, have one of those feel-good rounds, one of those feel-good clutches that just catapult you forward to where you're just really swinging back. But Fnatic were not able to do that. They weren't able to win out those important clutches, those clutches that really boost your ego. So for sure, it looked pretty bad, but OG, they looked fantastic, man. If I was able to do a drawing board for you guys, I really wanted to point out early on the conditioning that Alexi B always brings out on Mirage, on the T side of things. I mean, this time around, it was pretty much swapped. You know, I talked about him lurking out towards that A with the particular smoke. This time around, there was a lot of mid posturing alone. Alexi B all by his lonesome, able to pull that one off, really caught Fnatic off guard with their contact plays towards A. So this was fantastic from OG, but you're right, Freya. We expected a little bit more coming out from Fnatic.
Yeah, and I want to start off by talking about that T side from OG, because it felt like they were exploiting A lot. Did you see kind of any weaknesses from Fnatic's defense on that A side, Maui?
Yeah, I did. It didn't seem like actually Fnatic were really bad in the early round. Like they would find the opening pick actually a lot in this game. It's just that OG, they were always able to slow it down. They were always able to get those really good pinches off. So even if they lost one of the players running into the bomb site, it's once again, it's just that pack mentality from OG. They're always on each other's butts. It's just like they're so close to each other that really, even if Flusha or JW finds an opening pick, and they actually were showing up a little bit in the server. I wasn't really disappointed with any individuals from Fnatic side. It's just that when individuals are faced with problems that Alexi B is presenting them, the way that he's actually just constantly putting multiple players in the faces of Fnatic, the Fnatic players, they're a little bit looser in their structure. They're a little bit farther apart from each other. So when OG is working together in such a wonderful fashion, like even when they're not close to each other, they're flashing for each other. And when they're it's just like there's so many little good things that OG is doing, and they're putting it all together here. So Fnatic, I won't say that they came out completely cold. They actually won 12 opening duels in this game. So they had an opening pick on over half of these rounds. They just couldn't convert. OG, they were just reading them.
Yeah, and that's something that we know and love Alexi B for. I mean, love if you're on the side of him, maybe not if you're on the receiving end of it. And I think it was round 18 or round 17 where, you know, OG were looking so clinical when they were going in on that CT side. They were sort of staying in A apartments or A palace, and they managed to come out. I think Fnatic thought that they were going to be saving, but it seemed to all happen in really, really quick succession, Potter. It seems like their synergy as a team just looks really, really dominant.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the key word, right? Is the synergy. Now, even moving on to Train, you're going to see a lot more of that as well. Alexi B, he's such a mastermind. Even moving on to Train on the CT side, we mentioned that 11-4 dominant first half for these OG guys. That was all to the likes of Alexi B, his mobility, whether he's helping out Valde towards that inner, whether he's escorting Issa into that pop dog, or single-handedly just controlling that T-Con. And that was the crux for Fnatic the last time these two teams met, was that T-Con control. Alexi B, it was all his. He was consistently pushing towards it. Fnatic, they need to either have Pop Dog or T-Con. In a perfect world, both, but they had neither. And that's what kind of catapulted and snowballed them into that 4-11 deficit. This time around, like I said, I believe Fnatic is going to be able to turn things around. I think Train, they're going to be able to convert this one because of that second half, because it was such a landslide first half, but they swung back. So this time, I think those minor adjustments, being able to shut down Alexi B, it should come through for Fnatic.
Yeah, let's talk about Train quickly as our second map of this best of three series. I'm interested to hear what you think from this, Maui, considering that, you know, OG did manage to win it last time, an incredibly close 16-13 victory. But, you know, if you're Fnatic, where are you focusing in on to ensure that they can take it to a third?
Yeah, I think Potter brought it up really well, the lack of map control for Fnatic on their T side last time around they played OG, but they did make a good case for themselves once it switched sides. The only problem for me for the T side of Fnatic that I think that this could be an instant remedy for their problems, their issues, is that JW in that last game, it took him till the 14th round to even pick up an op, and on Train, T side, some teams have even brought 2 ops to the table for that map, and you need to have that op to try to open open up some of the rounds, to try to find that 1-for-1 trade, or even just get that opening pick, whatever it is. Or even if JW can just post down a lane so that the opposing riflers can't just swing into his crosshair as easily or as freely, I think they need to bust that out just a little bit earlier. And JW in this most recent game on Mirage, he didn't have a stellar performance, but he did well enough where I think he should trust his AWP moving forward.
Well, Train will be coming up next. We'll find out whether OG can take it in 2 or will Fnatic push it to a 3rd. Find out after this.
Map 2 coming right up in our second best of 3 of the day, Tom. And it was a disappointing result. I think they painted it perfectly though on the desk, but there are at least some positives to take out of that. Fnatic were getting a lot of opening picks. They were just unable to convert them, and you'd hope that they're going to be able to come together a little bit better, get that cohesion in play, and start to make the most of those opening picks. And I think Train is the kind of playground where you can make that a reality.
I love watching Fnatic CT side on this map. It reminds me of like the old days where JW had no fear. I think he still doesn't. It just people are aware of the things he does. But they like to get very aggressive. Both teams are very proactive on this map. And as it was mentioned by Maui, I think the T side AWP is something I want to see from JW because I know I'm going to see it from Mantu.
Means they will need to have a decent stranglehold over their economy, and it may be put down a peg if OG can repel the push. Oh, look at this. Fnatic go out of A main, up through Pop Dog towards B. I love this play. This is amazing. And it's worked beautifully as well, Tom.
Someone went on the Strat Roulette website, picked one out of a hat, and has come up with this. That is not something I'm going to say that we'll see very often, but I am excited by it. They've gained so much control as well. They're going to get up in the faces of OG. They have 4 players deep within the bomb site. They're going to fight for CT spawn. Fnatic have no fear. And the CT side are going to have to cower away. It's left onto Issa. He's trying to flank. He's like, guys, how have you lost CT spawn? Like, how am I having to hold on in the bathrooms It's ridiculous, but I love it. Fnatic have pulled out a spicy pistol round. That must have been on the fly, right? That must have been just Golden, like coming up with something magical in the mid rounds. Because if that was the initial plan, I would have loved to have been in the meeting where he pitched that idea. So right, guys, we're gonna run into the A site. Yeah, okay, that's fairly normal. And then up the ladder. It's like, wait, what ladder? The ladder in heaven, and we're gonna take heaven. No. We're gonna run in, and we're gonna turn back around. And then run back up the ladder and go B. It's like, have you had enough sleep, Golden? You've been watching those demos all night? Are you sure about this one? What, though?
Oh, absolutely love that. And it's almost forced into going up to meet them because there's so many grenades. Shrapnel or fire, pick your poison. And he burns alive. It's an Issa barbecue. And with all those grenades, they've got the first kill. Flusher took some damage, but there's no avenging play in sight for OG. And to make matters worse, they now have to deal with Valda up against 4 players, rushing him down on B site, and he has been pummeled. This is more like the Fnatic that we know and love.
I also really loved the way that in that moment, you almost sounded like the dad trying to be cool, like, it's a barbecue. Like,
wasn't even my intention, but I'll take it.
It's just like the dad who turns to his kids and they go, oh, for God's sake. Who let him out? Oh, Fnatic. This is what we wanted to see. Explosive, aggressive, a team that, well, has always been feared through Counter-Strike, getting back to the style that makes them so exciting. It's early days, of course, but those 2 rounds have probably got me more excited than anything we saw from them in the first map. So that's a positive at least. Also, this is a map as well where I have a lot of faith in their CT side. I think, as said, they're very proactive. I think the thing with that is we know that someone like Alexi B is going to have a lot of reads. Well, if they're changing up what they're doing every single round, like pushing different angles, your only response to that is really sit in a default. And I'm not really going to be too excited about just sitting in a default when you're playing up against Fnatic. 59 enemies flash between them, though. That's some pretty beastly stats coming out from Alexi B and Valde. And Valde, if you look at this roster on paper, you expect him to be the star, not the man throwing the flashes.
That's very true, yeah. It goes back to what they were discussing on the desk, that Fnatic were getting opening picks, but then the teamwork of OG just really started to shine through. And those flashbangs, that's what facilitates teamwork. You can flash your way into angles, flash your way out of trouble as well. We saw it happen a ton. And you feel like, especially a map like Train, that's going to have to come up again in the future, especially as Fnatic seemingly have dusted off all of the cobwebs and are now back to their aggressive best.
This round, we're going to see OG fairly reliant on Mantu and MBK to try and pull off something heroic. Of course, the only thing that could really be saved into the next round is going to be the Kevlar for MBK, unless Mantu has a few pieces missing and maybe wants to go for something else, like keep the scout and then save money for an AWP. But I don't want to see that. I want to see them come in with a proper 4-buy. And you have to bear in mind that Fnatic haven't really invested much into SMGs either, so it's not like it's going to be a weakened buy. Flusher, he just ignores his opponent, just continues to run towards the A site. He's going to be put down by MBK, which, although it doesn't seem like much, it's an extra $300, maybe an extra smoke into the next round. Alexi B, though, he's put that UMP to good use. And actually, that could be a bit of a difference maker, because now him and MBK have enough to potentially drop an AWP over to Mantu, who would have had to play at Glass Cannon otherwise.
Hey, spot on. That's exactly what happens. So, full Kevlar and grenades behind it additionally. It's a solid, healthy buy on OG, but Fnatic have only lost 3 players in the last 3 rounds. It has been a very one-sided start to our second map. OG maybe needing to withstand a bit more aggression. That flick from Mantu is lightning. And Crims has been sent packing for round 3.
Oh, Flusher not quite as successful. Always spoken about the best British AWPer. I think we have to go from Sluya to Huya, because the fact is Mantu might be taking that mantle away at this point. And no, I'm not proud of that, Vince.
I was gonna comment on the dad joke thing, but yeah, you got there before me. Smooya to Huya, got him. You're right, though. I mean, you are correct. Mantu is really etching a place for himself in CS right now with his AWPing on OG. There's no doubt about it. And you see how fast on the flick he was. Still remains alive with 3/4 of his HP. The downside for OG is they will have to withstand the push, and they only have a HE and a flashbang. So if they do have to retake, sure, they've got a kit on NBK, but they don't have too many grenades to facilitate it. That is going to be a bit of a concern, but can they swap this push before it gets started? It's a 1-for-1 trade. Valda tanks the bullet so that Mantu can keep residing on the site. 23 seconds, Brolan pushing right down the throat of OG. Only 1 kill goes his way, but he's done enough to force back the CTs and allow the bomb plant to come in. This is where the lack of nades may end up costing them dearly. JW stands his ground in ramp and only loses 14 HP for his troubles. So he's still healthy. He's still around close enough proximity. But Mantu, who kicked off the round with that quick flick on box holes, is still alive. Still standing, still fighting until the bitter end. They've lost their kit, and now JW peeks round the corner. It's a 1-for-1, and there should be enough time for Mantu to get the full defuse. Indeed, there shall be. It's at great cost to their economy, Tom, but their first round is forthcoming.
Yeah, a good round for Mantu, but at the same time, they lost an awful lot, as you mentioned. And well, look at the finances of Fnatic. They're in a pretty good position here. It's a bit of a worry to me that they had to get this much done. Also, like something interesting to me was there was Molotovs being thrown by Fnatic towards Connector that I actually wonder if they're intentional. Because if you watch Brolan and the way he ran through, he had a way to get into Connector. That's why he tried to fight it. And the Molotovs didn't deny him because they weren't actually blocking players from getting in. And like, I thought, okay, maybe that's just a missed Molotov. But then they threw a second one that also went back on towards the spools. So I wonder if that's a part of Fnatic's game plan. And if so, that's something interesting that we might have to watch out for in the future.
Certainly keep an eye trained over towards that. But in the meanwhile, in this round, Fnatic have eaten a lot of nade damage. I think Flusher was naded up on the showers, down to 45. Mantu also tagged. He tried to flick across an Ivy and missed his shot and was punished. Not with his life, at least. So all 10 players remain, but a few walking wounded players still trying to edge their way on Fnatic over on the B side of the map. And again, it is Valda alone, and again, he has an MP9, now being joined by Mantu. Now, he may miss his window of opportunity down onto ramp. HE tossed in, won't really affect anybody. Valda getting up close, he's yet to get any kills. There we go, finally gets one, and it's an important kill at that. The bomb's on the wrong side of ramp. Someone has to trace back over there again, using a smoke in doing so, but now Flusher, who is pinstering through on Connector, gets the drop onto NBK. 30 seconds left. Bomb starting to get planted, but Issue's rotation, his flank could be everything for OG. And the T's don't feasibly have a player that can stop this. He can go for the defuse, but he doesn't actually have a kit, so it's going to be a long defuse at that. And JW's content. I've spammed the smoke. No one can be there, but you're wrong, JW. You are incorrect on that, and it will cost you a second round.
I can't believe that just worked. This is just 10-second diffuses. It just sits in the smoke, and I'm sure JW is going to feel like a fool right about now. Luckily for them, again, another bomb plant, another costly round for OG. It seems like there is no breaks to what is very aggressive style of train. I'm enjoying it, I have to say, but considering this is day one, normally we try and be a bit more calm, a bit more chill, relaxed, but there's no time for that, Vince. This has been ridiculous.
Yeah, typically you ramp up with the hype and everything, right? But when you get a game this good, man, I'm loving every second of it, and I'm sure the neutrals at home are. OG and Fnatic fans probably having a heart attack right about now, but the rest of us are having a good old time.
I know Vladdy, or Vladislava, is always watching these games. I'm sure she's just like, please, just win the rounds clean. I don't know if she'll be able to cope with this too much, but here we go. MBK, well, he's not giving her any time to relax. This is a very aggressive push, and in fact, it's going to be Brolan coming out with the opener onto MBK. The problem is because they have that low utility, because they're never making any money, they're having to go for these aggressive stances, these pushes, this map control, because they don't have much else to play with. Brolin, he's going to have to go through the Molotov because Flush has gone through at the same time, and somehow Alexi B has killed off 2 riflers with an MP9. Valde has now caught another one, and Fnatic are in trouble again.
Can we just make sure that Alexi's not an android or a cyborg or something? Because I have no idea how he's tanked that many bullets and he's still standing. Like, the only explanation is he's not human.
I believe that. Like, there's all the conspiracy theories in the world that there's like lizard people living among us. Well, you know, the big brain man of Counter-Strike, it goes to Ents, gets them to a major final, and then pieces out and comes back in and creates an all-star roster of different players from, well, even different levels of Counter-Strike, and also is still in-game leading and fragging with an MP9. I don't know about you, Vince, but that sounds sketchy to me. And now he's killing people in the air.
Oh, Fnatic. I feel for you, I really do. How could he deal with him right now? How could he deal with the rest of OG? Not typically one of their players that you expect to be at the top. And when we said before, him and Valda with, what, 59 flashes between the two of them? And it feels like he's going to get 59 kills with the MP9 if it keeps going this way. Fnatic on the back foot again, smoke and a flash. 3 of their players heading towards box halls. The other is Brolan, who is making moves around A main. He may get picked off at range from Alexi if he's not careful. Alexi is still watching down towards the spawn side. So that is a dangerous game that's being played. But Valda holding on with MBK to just thwart this aggression. And finally, Alexi does, by the way, get the MP9 frag at range.
That was from miles away. Okay. This is getting fishy now. Do we have any where's that guy gone who used to make YouTube videos that everybody on the planet was cheating? Where's he right now?
Dan M, boys.
Get that?
Let's get him, boys. He's just sticking with the MP9 as well, isn't he? Unbelievable.
Why not?
It's working. Absolutely. Keep it.
This is Fnatic again. They go for these explosive plays quite often. Flusher showed a little bit too much leg going down that ladder and has been caught for it. KW has managed to make his way out to his old teammate's namesake. See if he has the same sort of magic that Olaf once did. Fact is, though, it seems like OG are more than willing to brawl in a lot of these situations. They're not falling back from any of these angles or taking a more passive stance. They are more than happy to fight in every position they can, reclaiming ground as they go. Note that while all of this mayhem has been going on A, Mantu has also taken an aggressive stance on upper. So they know that at the moment they can't be heading in towards this B site. This is really enjoyable to watch from OG. They're not giving Fnatic any ground whatsoever.
Constricting them. With every second, they lose more and more oxygen. They are looking to try and burst out, take the fight to OG once again. The MP9 this time will not claim any more kills. Lots of weakened Ts moving and lumbering their way to the site. They have 20 more seconds at their disposal, but they may not need that time after all because they are being put 6 foot under. That's a beautiful flick from Crims, though. Spinning around on a swivel, takes the head off of Valda and doesn't quite know where these last 2 CTs are. They're clumped together. The timing could not have been worse for him. He had the right idea, but he has to stick the bomb, otherwise he runs out of time, runs out of health, and OG do successfully get the retake.
Just unfortunate. Like, you're not going to expect both CT members to make your way through pop, so he just tries to bait one of them out. Lovely spray down here from MPK as well, but that's dirty from Crims. We've seen a few crazy shots today, but it seems like a lot of them have been on the bat of the team that's losing. Of course, as we mentioned, though, we expect both teams to have those strong CT sides. Like, there were definitely some issues the last time they played with the T sides. So Fnatic, they're not in a bad spot here, and they're about to try and aggress on a lot of angles. Valde has been completely caught off guard, and wow, it's a Molotov run for Flusher. He's going to take a hell of a lot of damage. Weird though, because Crims has dedicated himself. He's selling a fake. He's getting the kills, but everyone else has gone in the other direction. MBK is going to be the solo defender, and sure, Crims has gone down, but now the A site belongs to Fnatic.
It does, but they could have an intruder in the midst. That smoke may actually do more harm than good because MBK can play around this. He's getting intel for his teammates. Roland pushes back in again, and the timing, very rough. It was on OG's side last round. This time it works against them. And I don't think the OG want to feasibly throw away an AWP and an AK. Sure, they have plenty of money to replenish these guns, but hold on to them. It's still early days on Train.
Again, I feel like this game is the battle of the brains. Like, sure, we've seen the likes of Alexi B like get aggressive with MP9s and get a couple of interesting frags for himself. It's been those mid rounds, and again, this round is one off of those. They got an entry kill. Now, the way that we normally talk about the B site is you get that one kill, and it's basically yours. Like that's it. That's the round sort of, well, it's not over, but the retake begins because the bomb's so easy to get planted, and you don't normally bolster your B site defense. They get that entry, and just almost instantly, they're back towards A. They send Crimson as a fake, which is a risk in itself because he goes down without too much of a fight. But at that point, they get the more viable after plant position. Retaking B, easy. Retaking A, that's a different ball game altogether.
I feel like because of all of the angles that you have to be cognizant of, that retaking A on Train, if it's in like an even 3v3, is one of the hardest sites to retake in all of CS. Like, you've got the verticality of Heaven and the trains themselves, so many longer angles. It is so very difficult to do. So makes a lot of sense the Fnatic would prioritize that. They may be going for it again. The bomb carrier boosting over the run boost for JW to peek on the right-hand side of Ivy from the CT's perspective. No one is there, and MBK gets trodden on by Broland's AK. That's a huge pick. And that forces a bit of attention away from Ivy, where the bulk of the T's are currently residing, over onto main. So this opens up a few doors, a few gates that they can bust through momentarily. Alexi has to turn tail and run momentarily. Now Mantu watching onto Ivy, spots one player crossing, can't connect the shot, has to fall back, giving up so much room and so much maneuverability across to Fnatic, and they mobilize their army, they mobilize the AKs. Nothing but headshots, nothing but the way of the Swedes. And OG again have to save.
A few awkward fights there as well, and I feel like that's where Fnatic really thrive. Like, if anything, they've also released a few videos in the past that makes me think that they don't mind a few awkward situations at all. But we can move away from that. I don't think we're going to see too many of those videos for a while. Maybe once we get back to LAN events. But yeah, there were moments there where you go, oh, if maybe they win that duel. And now it's starting to be a real punish, because we spoke about in the last round how, hey, you know, the money, it's going to buy them for days. They got plenty of cash to rebuy. This time they don't. Now, sure, Mantu, Issa, they've got some decent cash. Maybe Alexi B takes an SMG once again, and they do go into this one. The only thing that will really be a miss, though, is whether or not they can actually get the AWP out, because, well, they have a decision to make. Do they go for a couple of extra rifles, maybe miss the AWP, or do they potentially leave one of their players on a weaker purchase? And, well, Vince, they're actually going to take a timeout to decide, which I think is a pretty good point.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment. Interesting. It's a third on the winnings list of gamers from Jordan. Winnings amount to 2.8% of first place. There you go.
I still remember casting him all the way back. I think it was the WSG Middle Eastern qualifier. I can't remember. It was his. I know his team name. It was something 5. I can't remember what it was. I'm sure there'll be someone out there who knows the answer to that. But I've never seen a harder carry in my entire life. Like, no offense if you're one of the other 4 players on that team, but he literally had to try and 1v5 in most matches. It was ridiculous. Bear in mind, Woxic and like the Turkish teams were also in that qualifier. So there was obviously the old space soldiers and teams like that just battered them. But Roland, he is starting to do some of that himself. A two-man entry. Of course, this is an investment as well. This wasn't like a break for OG where they go for some pistols and they wait for the next round. Nope. They put everything they had into this round, and Brolan's looking to take it away. Flusher has just out-jeweled the AWPer waiting for him. And while we're now starting to see the Fnatic we really wanted to see, all-out brawly, aggressive players taking individual fights, and more importantly, unlike the last map, winning them.
And winning them convincingly. Like the last 3 rounds, OG have been eyeing up saves with 2 players left and never really been in amongst the action. Brolan, who's already picked up 2 kills, could be on for 2 better. If he decides to extend down towards the CT spawn, he may find the straggling CTs. The economy on the terrorist side, pretty good. A couple players in particular will be certainly prosperous, but not good enough, Fnatic feel, to justify hunting for these weapons. So they will give it up. 6-5 will be the score. Fnatic regained the lead, and the pressure mounting on OG. I would not have really held it against you after that first map if you'd said that OG were your favorites to take this, but credit to Fnatic. They've bounced back, and they've bounced back hard.
Yeah, for sure. They're looking very, very good. And as said, I have a lot more faith in their CT side of this map. So I think clearly we're seeing the players perform better on an individual level as well. But also one of the things that really brought things home for OG when they played last time is they had a lot of very big clutch plays. The individuals were there. They were performing to the highest of standards. I'm not saying they're missing. I'm saying that Fnatic are doing a much better job of taking it away from them. We've seen one, of course, the 10-second defuse coming out from Issa earlier, but that's been few and far between since the early rounds went their way. And while Fnatic have now, if anything, started to dominate.
Yeah, that's a good point that you raise as well. Like one of these rounds, as we just kind of talking over what should be a fairly stompy round for Fnatic. One of the rounds off the back of a defuse. We've had a couple of other kind of strange, wacky rounds where OG just about managed to hold on and win. So on another day, you're looking at Fnatic with like an 8-3 scoreline, maybe even 9-2. And things getting kind of out of control. When it comes to rifle rounds, I feel like Fnatic have been head and shoulders above OG. So this could very well end up being a 10-5. As it should be easy, by the way. This has turned into a 3-on-3, and the HP bars of the teams are actually terrible. How has this happened? Fnatic, you are very much in contention to throw this round away, throw that lead away, and allow the CTs to get back into this, and they're going to do just that.
God.
I had written this off, Tom. I assumed this would be easy, but it was anything but.
There's no respite today, is there? There's not a round where we could just sit there and go, yeah, let's just have a little calm down and a chat, and then they go, no, sorry, Vince, you're going to have to pay attention here. OG are probably going to win this round. This is ridiculous. This was MBK fighting against multiple players, spamming the walls to chip extra damage. And then this from Valde, bear in mind, he had armor there. He didn't even need the 2 instant headshots, but he just decided to style on them at the end. And it's almost comedic at this point, like mention, oh yeah, they had these big clutch rounds that sort of got them through, and there were definitely some moments where Fnatic let things slip, but you know, it hasn't been happening so much today. Well, there you go. They've lost to some pistols, they lost to an aggressive A main take, and that was it really. There wasn't like a huge amount of levels, I would say, to that from OG. I wouldn't say that was like an Alexi B tactical mastermind. That was just MBK and Valde just fighting tooth and nail for the round. And Fnatic 6-6. They're still in a very good spot. Let's not like go out of control here, but this is a very easy way to let OG off for what has not been the greatest CT side.
That's very true. Fnatic still, you'd say, in pole position, but the fact that they have conceded 2 rounds that at least it should never be going the way of OG, you think what could have been? They may be having that in the back of their minds, but they have to focus on these last 3 rounds of the half. Can they come out leading? Perhaps not. Valde says no. His M4 does the talking for him alongside Alexi, and now JW hopping, leaping into his death. 7-6.
I think if he had killed him at the end of that, I would have tapped out. I'd be like, no, that's not acceptable. This is a position that Valde's played quite a few times as well. It's normally in combination with Mantu on the AWP. I think this time it was Alexi B who picked up a secondary. So they have switched things up a little bit in terms of their defensive dynamic over the last few rounds. And hey, at least in that one, it was very, very clean. And if anything, that round that they stole away is definitely enough to turn things around. Like a 9-6 CT half, it's not ideal, but it can work. And Flusher, he's having this battle once again with MBK, a battle as old as time itself. But no one actually coming out worse for wear at this point. A little bit of extra damage done onto Nathan, but not anything he's going to worry too much about. Nade has just been caught in the pocket of Brolin. He's down to just 14? JW? That was completely through smoke. I guess he just pre-fired the angle of the edge of the box, but hey, that was pretty sick.
Especially as it killed MBK in a bit of an off angle as well. Like maybe the trajectory of the grenade, he just kind of guessed roughly where MBK was, but that is a hell of a pick, especially considering the grenade that went off. And OG, who have pickpocketed Fnatic a couple of times already, now maybe up against it. There's a deagle in the hands of Brolin, but the rest of the team they're up against has AKs, 2 flashes and there's a Molotov. 35 seconds allocated to the Swedes. They need to start making a move towards the A side. With the bomb under control, not really any room to second guess themselves. So it's all systems go. Shift through the gears, get onto that side, get up close against your adversaries, and Brolan, weakened with the deagle, still comes out for the frag. Alexi falls back to the site and falls down permanently. And judging from the positions of Mantu, but more importantly Valde, I don't think they go for this. They save instead. So it looks like we will have a very close half of Counter-Strike. It's been pretty one-sided today in all of our maps. Anything but here.
Yeah, the worry is though is just the connotations of the map itself, I guess. Because as said, the last time that we saw them play, Fnatic managed to win 8 CT rounds in a row before a few really big, impressive clutches from OG managed to drag it over the line. And that was after a fantastic CT half from them as well. So the fact that Fnatic have currently got this level on, I think, arguably the most CT-sided map in the game at the moment. Like, Nuke has become a lot less CT-sided than it used to be. There's going to be a few upgrades there, and sure, the Fnatic economy isn't amazing, but I don't think they're going to mind too much considering they are going into the last round. They will have a purchase. They'll be able to juggle around the weaponry, and everybody except JW is going to have nades, but considering we've seen him in a fair few rounds just basically jump out of main and try and get a pick, which I think he might do again, it's not really the end of the world he doesn't have any grenades.
Look how quickly he's up there as well. He nearly gets 2. Not just shredding MBK, but tagging Issa down to 26. Another rapid round right up in the grill of OG, but Mantu's AWP delivers. Yep, they've pulled the plug. They've gone straight to B, and look, OG could not have bit down on this harder.
The mid rounds, man. The mid rounds coming out of Fnatic have been ridiculous. Like, I don't know how they keep their comms clean enough to call that while players are running through smokes and molotovs on A. That was an important kill, though. Valde, oh, it's awkward for Issa. Now, they now know where one of the 2 players are, and Golden, wow, he's the only healthy member left of this Fnatic squad. He needs to try and find something. The smoke actually gives him a bit of an angle over the corner of it, but realistically, I don't know how much he's going to be able to get done from here, and Mantu snipes him out of the air. It is Valde to close, and there's plenty of time left for OG on the retake. 8-7, a decent resurgence from them, but ultimately, that's still a very, very good half of Fnatic on the T side. They need this second half to be good if they're going to stay in this matchup. We'll find out if they can do it after a short break.
When I see you dancing, I'm like, hola, 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 hola. With your move fancy, make me wanna hola, 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 hola. When I see you dancing, when I see you dancing, dancing. When I see you dancing, 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 dancing. When I see you dancing, I'm like, hola, 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 hola. With your move fancy, make me wanna hola, 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 hola. When I see you dancing, when I see you dancing, dancing. When I see you dancing, 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 dancing.
After a few massacres today, Tom, we were hoping for a closer map, and we got it. OG lead, but it's by the slimmest of margins, 8-7, as they now move on to their T side. But I know that you had a few things to say about Fnatic on the CT side, and the fact that OG on their T half, definitely no slouches.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think a lot of it, again, comes down to the individual focus when it comes to OG a lot on the T side of this map. Like, you're going to need your Issas. You're going to need Mantu, especially when he gets that orb. And last time they did have their struggles versus Fnatic. But mainly that's because Fnatic love to reclaim map control. The same way we saw from OG. It was an impressive stance when they did win rounds. The problem was Fnatic was so explosive that they found it very, very hard to deal with. Now in the pistol round, I think it'd be good for OG to take it going onto that T side because we know how tough it can be.
Distinct difference. If you missed the first pistol, you actually missed a treat. It was A main, Pop Dog, B. OG, in the meanwhile, a bit slower, a little bit more orthodox. Yeah. It caught me off guard both times as well, Tom, I've got to admit. So if it caught us off guard, I'd probably caught Fnatic and OG off guard. Now Issa, just waiting. I think the whole purpose of this play is to see if someone can cross, shoot them in the back, and then execute off that. But now that no one on the CTs has moved a muscle, not an inch, not a millimeter, he now has to try and turn the aggressor, try and get some prey, become the predator. But instead, he is hunted down by Brolan and JW. The bomb is getting planted in amongst all of this frenzy. But you said that Fnatic have no problems giving ground up to retake. They're very good on the aggression. They may have lost the plant, but they're getting a ton of kills. Mantu holding on for dear life with his Glock and is doing tons of damage in the process. Alexi B from above from heaven smites down onto Golden, and Mantu tries to clean up the rest. They know that Alexi is up in heaven right now as he jumps across. The bomb's not planted for him, which is why he jumped across to this side. It gives him a better angle to check the site. Crims has to try and fake this. Is coming round the corner, Alexi, and wins the round for OG. Incredibly close, but they stave off the retake.
They're Crim's not stick that? Did he just tap it and wait? Because it didn't look like he was defusing and he had a kit, so I feel like he probably would have had it. I'm not sure what just happened there. That was really weird, but hey, Alexi B, he's got the job done. That's all that matters. And Mantu, you spoke about like whether or not Alexi B was human. Mantu was being shot by 3 different people for a solid like 15 seconds and just manages to hold out that whole time. No idea how. Yeah, Fnatic probably going to be a little bit disappointed. They let that one slip. Crims definitely didn't look happy. But look at the buys. They're not that far apart. OG have gone for a lot of utility. That's their real benefit. And by the looks of it, they might have a full-on execution set up for this B side.
Always love to see the MP7 get some play. MBK has it in his very capable hands. There was a brief moment before the smoke plume for a shot, and they have connected that. Good kills, good damage inflicted from Fnatic, but they instantly get countered. Alexi and Mantu Issa. A dangerous game of whack-a-mole, and Brolan gets splattered. 2v3 in favor of OG, but they are hemorrhaging in the form of Mantu, and this is still a winnable round, Tom, for Fnatic. It's going to be a tough one, but if JW can get the drop, it was doable. Unfortunately, with his life being deemed forfeit, unlikely that Crims, as good as he is, can clutch this 1v3. At least has the element of surprise. That is the only thing going for him. And that element has been taken away alongside the second round of the half. 10-7 lead.
I don't think I've ever seen more like mid-round calls being made by in-game leaders. I expected it to be a battle of the big brains in this one, but that's now like multiple times we've seen a team completely take a site and then just give it back up and just go back in the other direction. I have to say I'm really enjoying it as well, because firstly, most of the time it's worked. I think that's fair to say. And secondly, because that's one of the main criticisms we have of teams is you have these really static setups where it's like, we have a plan to go B. If that plan doesn't work, we're still going to try and go B, but we'll probably just die along the way. Whereas in these circumstances, a lot of the time they go, we have B, but wouldn't it really screw with them if we went A now? And it's like, it is impressive. I wonder if there is going to end up being like counter plays of just delaying rotations, but then, well, you're playing into your opponents again. So it becomes this massive game of cat and mouse, except both people are the cat and they think the other is the mouse.
That's actually an awesome way of putting it. But maybe a wolf in sheep's clothing kind of situation as well. OG, certainly not the sheep in this encounter. They have mowed down with ferocity onto Fnatic. 4-round lead established, but it was all the eco. Fnatic now comes straight back in. You mentioned the AUG in the previous map. Well, it's been picked up again, and it's in the hands of Brolan once more. And Crims as well.
This is the problem with this matchup is I'm not allowed to have caster bias, but I really want Fnatic to win so we get Inferno.
Yeah, I want a third map as well. I've got to admit, this has been a lot of fun.
Also, best series, always end in Inferno. It is a fact of life. MBK, though, he is running the gauntlet straight out onto this A site. It's a trade to start. BT's come back, at least for the moment, but it doesn't last long at all. It's almost like just a flurry of back and forth frags, but eventually it ends. Mantu, 20 HP, 3 players to find. It's not happening this time, but they have got money in the bank. 3 players with over $6,000. They'll be able to juggle the weaponry around, and you know that OG are going to be coming right back to try and strike Fnatic. No respite just yet, and I imagine no ult for either side, which is a shame because... Oh, no, wait, never mind. I'll take that back. I've just seen one drop. So Mantu is going to have his AWP. I think he's going to be an important factor in this match that we have to be aware of, because his T-side AWPing, when it's on point, is terrifying.
It is, but it seemed like OG weren't on the same page. They were incredibly slow to buy. After buy time, they still had 3 players in spawn. That's actually given up a little bit of map control, or at least from their perspective they may have. They need to be a little bit more wary of places like Boxholes, which Valda has now cleared. So, and scratch what I was just talking about. But yeah, as he said, Mantu, T-side AWPing can be a real pain in the backside. And Fnatic have got first blood. It's onto Issa. Definitely alleviates some of that pressure and potential threats that are being generated. Just over a minute to play with, and OG Only have one smoke left, and it's just been tossed out. That's on the B side. It seems like we may have a B hit. No, we don't. They pull back again. They're heading towards Pop Dog. But they've left themselves not too much room for error here, Tom. No more smokes at their disposal.
And the worry is as well is, well, Alexi B will know as well as I do, there's no point on this map that is clear anymore. They can't say like, oh, 30 seconds ago I cleared this spot, because Fnatic will happily reclaim that control. Brolin, oh, he's spamming wildly. He almost still gets that second kill, and he's got Crims to back him up, who's been on a tear on this round. 4 kills for him, exactly what we want to be seeing. We talk about the consistent stars of Fnatic. You look towards your Brolins, the Young Gun, and then this man on your screen, our bald brother in arms, who he's looking good, and I'm looking forward to seeing if he keeps up that level of form. Maybe a third map will come up.
They're ticking all the boxes, Tom. They're going in the right direction, and they're picking up pace. Momentum starting to shift. OG, you said, will there be counterplay? Seem to have spotted Fnatic not biting too hard on that fake. They didn't draw out too many players from A towards B. Maybe this is becoming a little bit telegraphed on the side of OG, but they have time. Oh, JW through the smoke. OG at least into an eco, so it won't affect them that much. But you're starting to see that some of their big, heavy hitters on Fnatic are awakening from their slumber. MBK giving Brolan a dirt nap, though, elsewhere on the map. And now the push comes in. Incendiary is going to do a ton of damage. There's no way to extinguish that, and no way for the cross for OG to get the plant. That's important. They can't take their economy forward as much as they would have liked.
Yeah, more importantly, on the other side of things, one man lost. So Fnatic doing a better job of keeping some of these rounds clean. This is where things will get interesting once again. Still a few pieces missing here and there from OG. We don't have the AWP yet onto Man2, who's been incredible so far. He's 17 and 8. Obviously, the majority of that came off the AWP on the CT side, which they only won 8-7. So for him to be performing so well definitely means there was a few holes here and there. As said, I think it was the sheer pace that Fnatic were playing at. It's something we don't see too often. A lot of teams using the clock to, well, it's full capacity, whereas Fnatic, well, they barely let it start. This round, already, they've completely changed their setup once again. It's only going to be Flusher on B, though, and that is where the majority of the Ts are going.
Flusher just needs to stay alive. He's been around the block too many times for fall into the trap of getting too aggressive, especially when he's by himself. Now he can start to get bolstered up from the rest of his teammates. Golden watching the cross. And this is why it's so important to just hold on a little bit longer. I know it may hurt at the time. Your pride takes a hit. You've conceded a bomb plant, but as long as you get back on there intact, you're good to go. 3 players left on OG. MBK exceptionally low. It is hard to see how OG clutch from this point. The good news is the bomb has been ticking away. Molotov tossed in towards the site. It does connect, but there's a smoke down there as well. Golden goes for the full defuse, and now Issa needs to just take him out of the equation. The full defusel's coming in, and Issa's giving it up. He's not interested, and there is enough time, but it's only by the skin of their teeth.
Why is he defusing?
It's a good question.
Had 3 kids. Vince, that gave me a genuine panic attack. Like, they had 3 kits or 1 man without, and the one without goes for a 10-second defuse. It's like Fnatic just wanted to play the clock all the way down. Oh, dear Lord. And that was like a point something of a second.
Oh, yeah, it was super close. I think that's why Issa didn't even bother going for it, because he just assumed that they had plenty of kits to just go for the fast defuse. Even if you kill 1 guy, it doesn't really matter, right? Like, you lose your AK. Gives you nothing to play with in this round. But no doubt, I'm sure there's a lot of Fnatic fans that just breathe a collective sigh of relief, because that was looking a little bit grim. Brolan spinning around, running out of ammunition. Gets put down by Alexi's Deagle. And Fnatic have bridged the gap. After that first half, it was looking grim. But now Man2 and Alexi have to try and post up something miraculous, and instead they are disappeared by Fnatic, who take the lead. Now OG will have another buy. It will include the AWP that we were looking for in Man2. But what can they get done with it? Because I think it's safe to say, Tom, that the momentum, the general feel of this map is now firmly in favor of the Swedes.
Yeah, we're getting back to what we saw last time, where there was an 8-round streak from Fnatic. Now, last time, there was a big buffer of rounds for OG, so it was kind of an okay situation. This time, they didn't have anywhere near as solid a CT half as they did, so they're starting to come under real pressure from Fnatic. And that's the thing. Like, this is the thing that's most frustrating and most entertaining about Fnatic is they always play better when they're behind. Flush has just come up with 2 huge kills. Let's not take away from the flash from JW, though, which definitely gave him a helping hand along the way. They're still wanting to go towards this B site. They've left Issa lurking, but realistically, his lurk becomes less and less valuable if they can't take the site.
Yeah, exactly. A look really, and a flank is only as powerful as the foundation that it's built upon. So if your 2 players here from OG both die, then basically Issa is useless. And not by his own doing. So he's smoking down, flashing, trying to keep some of these CTs interested over on the A side of the map. Now he's moving in. Grenade is good. More than good. It's brilliant. It's just shattered Mantu's legs. He'll be limping on his cross to the side, and in doing so, JW actually misses the shot. And now Golden, it's his turn to retaliate with the AK, double headshots. And Issa's flank is for naught. Completely and utterly denied.
Yeah, they had no idea there was a second player there. I like the call again from Fnatic. Like they initially, after getting the opening kills, made the same sort of assumption that we all did. It was like, okay, you've just killed 2 players aggressive on B. They're probably now going to go A. And then after the time ticked away, they went, okay, let's just split our defense. Let's give ourselves equal opportunity on either side. And wow, there was no way that OG were expecting that. 13 now on the board for Fnatic, a resurgence of sorts, but again, they've looked pretty good throughout this map. And again, we're talking about some of these rounds that they've lost along the way. Let's be real, Vince. They could have made this a lot easier for themselves.
Yeah. I genuinely think had they been a little bit more ruthless, had better instinctual sort of killer instinct, they could have actually finished the map by now. So yeah, completely agree. In their 6 CT rounds on Mirage, OG defused the bomb thrice, once more than Fnatic did in 15. Well, there you go.
I like how you've named the bomb numbers as well. That's a nice touch. I appreciate that. But yeah, and a good time as well for OG to try and have a little think about how they're going to do something in this round. The problem being, although their loss bonus is built, there's no doubt about that. We were looking at, I think it was at least 11-9, maybe even more than that. I think it was 11-8, 11-7 for OG. So yeah, they got the initial 4 rounds. So they are in a position where obviously Issa can buy in the next round, can't really buy in this one. So they're just going to make sure that he has a chance with the hero AK, and by chance, I mean he's died within 20 seconds. And the rest of the team are just going to invest into pistols so that everybody has a good buy in the next round, and there's no real problems with disjointed economy.
Doubly awkward when you consider that hero AK is miles away on Ivy. Not a single T can get close to pick that one back up again and use it. And in doing so, they're walking into a trap. And it has been sprung into action. It's Flusher that is dealing the main damage. Mantu's Deagle, all that stands, the only architect of some demise, but instead it's him that falls on his sword. And Fnatic now 3-round lead, probably OG's last chance. If they concede this, they likely will concede the map. Let's see what kind of resistance, what kind of retaliation they have in store.
There's been, I believe, 7 rounds in a row for Fnatic. I mentioned that last time they got 8, so you never know, maybe OG will be able to bring it to overtime. But the difference being, and it's something that Maui's mentioned as well, is that they had some huge individual plays. Someone brought them back from the depths of this map. I'm already losing Valde. It can't be him. Someone else needs to step up. Now, a lot of the time in these sort of rounds, Alexi's actually the one. Now, you might think, Tom, he's the in-game leader. That doesn't really make much sense, but he does have that just sheer fragging power that can come out of him sometimes. I actually make a comparison to Azza. Like, Azza doesn't necessarily frag a lot for what was 100 Thieves, but sometimes he'll just win you around because they need it. And this is where OG need it most.
Certainly need a hero who will answer the call, if anybody. Does it fall on deaf ears? Golden's AK looking to silence the rallying cry. He did get tagged off that smoke, which I think may give his position away, and Issa darts straight in with the AK-47. Maybe it's the Jordanian that steps up. Slight gap in the smoke. Crims can't really exploit it. Alexi still opting for A main control. In come the T's. It stands to reason this likely will be an A-centered push, which is why you're seeing most of the CTs congregate around this vicinity. But Issa is still executing players. Brolan tries to pivot around for a second kill, can't get it done. And now JW is smoked off. Not before he can crush another player. Flusher lands the leg shot. He can't deny the bomb plant, but he can deny Mantu's life, and that may be good enough. Alexi with the drop onto Flusher, but he starts the round off with a frag on Boxalls and comes full circle to get Fnatic in 4 map points.
Maybe questioning why Flusher's doing a little bit of a celebratory dance. It's not just for BM, although the Fnatic guys do like that every once in a while. It's more so that JW can run all the way back and retrieve a second AWP, something that has been very good for them. And this is what we like to see. The Fnatic guys, smiles on their faces, obviously on their boot camp as well. So I don't know about you, but I myself do think that we'll see a different level from them. And now being all together and being able to pump each other up. I feel like with those sort of glasses, Golden needs to just be on a motorbike and just turn up in like all leather. Like, I think that's what I'm envisioning with that close up. But either way, we're back into the round. It's another fast attempt coming in from OG.
Fast, frenetic, frenzy, and so far it's Fnatic that are feeding. Felder, Mantu, and Alexi. No grenades between the three of them, but Flusher continues to impress with the AWP. He is just destroying OG with it right now. Brolan gets in with 2, and now Mantu has to try and clutch a 1v3. No control of the bomb, and his head's removed. Fnatic take map 2. Excellent performance.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you and say I'm disappointed with that, because I wanted a map 3. I wanted an Inferno, a map that's been incredible for Fnatic over history, one they beat OG on, but also one of OG's best map. This is going to be a 3-map thriller. And honestly, after that performance from Fnatic on this map, I am more than excited for what's to come, Vince.
As am I, Tom. We're going to have to wait a little bit longer before we get to Inferno. First, the desk will break down all the action on Train.